everybody, and welcome back to Hobby Journals. Today I have a very exciting video. As you can see by the title, we're going to be talking about my 5-star predictions, and I was going to also include books that I've been avoiding, but I feel like my last video was like a little bit negative. If you haven't seen my Kindle Unlimited reading vlog, I mean, it's not that the whole video was negative, but I just wanted to keep this video like purely positive vibes and talking about books that I think that I am going to really love. So yeah, I guess we will just get right into our first book. So our first book that I predict is going to be a 5-star for me is Juniper and Thorn by Reid. This is a juniper tree retelling, reimagining. I never really know the difference. It follows Marlon Chin and her sisters, who are all working at her father's, I believe, like apothecary. He is sort of this abusive figure for all of them, and they are not allowed to leave their house and associate with people outside of working at this shop. But little does he know they are all sneaking out at night and enjoying the pleasures of the city. But they discover that there is a monster lurking in its midst. Now, why do I think that it is 5-star material for me? In the Goodreads description, it was described as perfect for fans of Shirley Jackson. And if you have watched my previous couple videos, you will know that I recently read We Have Always Lived in the Castle and was a huge fan of it. It actually kind of got me out of a reading slump that I had been in earlier this year. And I also really loved Ava Reid's writing style and the themes that she explored in her young adult book, A Study in Drowning. I have heard that Juniper and Thorn has very similar themes and is also really atmospheric the way that A Study in Drowning is. So I am very excited to see how she explores that and see what her writing style is like in a adult book. I also looked at the little genre tags on the Goodreads page, and I saw that it was also a gothic horror, so I'm always really into a gothic horror vibe. So yeah, I am really excited to get into this one. My mom actually got this for me for Christmas, and she's been asking over and over if I've read it yet, so really need to get to this one. But I think with all of these books, there's some of them that have sat on my shelf for quite a while, and I kind of like to think of all of these books as like a fine wine that you let sit on your shelf and age, and you're waiting for the right time for it. I've always loved that analogy between people's like wine cellars and their book collections. I just think that it really like rings true. Maybe that's just the book hoarder in me, but yeah, I think that this is just sitting on my shelf and aging like a nice fine wine until I am ready to enjoy it. And our next book, very, very different vibe. We have a Project Hail Mary by Andy Weir. Now, I do not read much sci-fi. Just really been getting back into it. This is, like I said, an adult sci-fi book. It follows a man who wakes up on a spaceship and has no idea who he is, where he is. He soon, I believe, finds out that he is actually on a mission to save humankind. Now, why do I think this is going to be a 5-star for me? I really, really love sci-fi space movies, namely like Arrival. I know that's not really like a space movie, but it's got aliens, so it's, you know, like kind of the same vibe. And like Interstellar, I really love movies like that. And obviously I really love The Martian, which is a book by him. I have not read that, but I love the movie. So I really think that I could enjoy this a lot too. And it seems like a very fun, like adventure-y, thrilling story, but also exploring a lot of like deeper themes. So yeah, I think that I will really enjoy this, and I'm going to say that for every book. So just, yeah. Also, I did want to mention that I'm pretty sure that there is some sort of like android companion in here, and I am a huge fan of that. Like, my favorite part of Star Wars, honestly, is the droids. So that sounds like exactly up my alley. That's what I should have mentioned for sci-fi space movies. Wow. Okay, on to the next. Next up is This Is How You Lose the Time War by Amal El-Mohtar and Max Gladstone. I really hope I am pronouncing both of those correctly. Really sorry if I am not. I really need to get better at looking up the pronunciation of things before I start filming. Another science fiction book, also categorized under romance and literary fiction. So I think this is a little bit of a genre bender, which are some of my favorite books. I love books that can't really fit into a category perfectly. And I believe that this is going to be one of those. I'm going to do my best to do justice by this book as I describe it, but I'm very sorry if I don't. To my best knowledge, it follows two rival agents, each determined to do right by their warring factions, and they strike up a correspondence that kind of begins as like a bragging, sort of like taunting relationship, and it develops into something more romantic, and they kind of take on the task of making sure this war has a happy ending, I guess. I am probably really not describing this well at all, but that's the best I can do. Why do I think that I'm going to love this book so much, especially if I can't even describe what it's about? Number one, time travel. And to add on to that, time travel romance. That's like, if you don't know, one of my favorite books ever is The 7-Year Slip by Ashley Poston. One of my favorite movies is about time. Both of those are time travel romances. And this, I think, is going to take that step further with the sci-fi element, which I think will be really, really fun. Letters, both in stories and in real life, are like my favorite things ever. So this is pretty much like made up of a bunch of letters, which I believe it is. Yeah, a lot of it at least is made up of letters. I'm gonna eat it up. I have heard just rave reviews about this book from a lot of people who have similar tastes to me. And it is also blurbed by both V.E. Schwab. I've only read one of her books, but I really, really enjoyed it. The Invisible Life of Addie LaRue. And also Madeline Miller, who is like probably my favorite author of all time. So obviously, let's see what she said about it. Madeline Miller said, "It is a fireworks display from two very talented storytellers." And V. Schwab said, "Holy shit, this was good." Sold. I'm sold. This is How You Lose the Time War. My next book is a classic, and that is Frankenstein by Mary Shelley. Now I have this beautiful penguin cloth bound edition with anatomical hearts, and I'm just absolutely obsessed. It's so beautiful. I've heard that these aren't the best to read in, so I will definitely have to report back on that, but either way it'll look beautiful on my bookshelf, so can't say I'm not mad about it. So this follows a young scientist whose creation becomes a monster, and I think that's all the introduction that it really needs. It's a classic that is referenced quite a lot in other literature and TV, both like for children and adults, so I think that this will be really fun to read to like get the original story, obviously. Why do I think that this will be a 5-star? Like I said when I was talking about Juniper and Thorn, I love a gothic horror, which this obviously is, so there's a point right there. I tend to rate classic literature a lot higher. I'm not sure why exactly that is. Maybe just that it's kind of like been through like a solid vetting process, that it has been loved and like acclaimed for so long that like obviously it's going to be a good book. And I love reading classics and seeing how relatable something can be that was written so long ago. There's something so comforting about it, and I think that a book like this will explore a lot of themes of humanity and mortality and things like that, which is something I really enjoy in my reading. I've heard that it has very annotatable and quotable writing, which who doesn't love that? And obviously it just has a very incredibly interesting premise. So yeah, I am very excited to get to this. I do feel like it would be a good fall read, but I don't think I can wait for that. So I think I might be cracking into this pretty soon. Next up, we have a historical fiction pick, and that is Foster by Claire Keegan. I also just think that this is a really beautiful cover. It's like very simple, but something about these colors is so stunning. This follows a small girl who is sent to live with foster parents in rural Ireland. There she experiences warmth and affection like she has never known, and then a secret is revealed that threatens to change it all. It changes her perception, I guess. Synopsis really gave me a little bit of Anne of Green Gables vibes, so that is reason one for why this is a 5-star prediction, because if you don't know, that is one of my favorite books of all time. I am planning on reading the next book in the series very soon. That could also be on this list, but I'm only including books that I own physically. I don't know if I've said that, but this is all books from my physical TBR. I have just heard so many incredible things about Claire Keegan in general. So this and Small Things Like These are her 2 most popular books, and I've just heard so many good things. Mostly I just think that this sounds a lot like Anne of Green Gables, and I've heard a lot of really good things about it. It's quite short, so even if I am not enjoying it, at least it won't be a waste of time. I can always appreciate a short little book. The font is quite large too, so I think that I could honestly just get through this in a day. Maybe that wouldn't be great for my mental health, because I've heard that it is quite sad. That is Foster by Claire Keegan. Alright, now we are getting back in. I have got the drops today. I'm just freaking Miss Butterfingers. As I was saying, next up we have another general fiction, literary fiction pick, and that is Tomorrow and Tomorrow and Tomorrow by Gabrielle Zevin. Now, I think this has got to be at least the 3rd time I've talked about this book on my channel. I've been meaning to read it since like the end of last year. Honestly, I've been meaning to read it since longer than that, but I bought it towards the end of last year. 2 friends, often in love but never lovers, come together as creative partners in video game design. Spanning 30 years, this is a journey of identity, disability, failure, the escape of gaming, and our need to connect. Why do I think this is going to be a 5-star read for me? First off, the video game element. If you don't know, I do really love video games. I wish I made more video game content on my channel. Hopefully that can come soon. Maybe involving this book. I am really excited to see all of the retro gaming references in here. I've heard there's a lot of like old Nintendo references, which I love Nintendo. It's definitely my favorite video game company, so very excited about that. I heard that you also, I think, get to kind of see inside the games they are playing. I'm so really excited to see that. Like I said, that often in love but never lovers line just really intrigues me. Heard just so many amazing things about this book from so many people, great things about Gabrielle Zevin's writing in general, and I've also heard that it touches on a lot of very important topics, a lot of deeper things. I've heard it's kind of a tearjerker, so very excited to once again get to this one. It is Tomorrow and Tomorrow and Tomorrow by Gabrielle Zevin. We are finally nearing the end of this list, and we are going back to another gothic horror. Maybe I should have honestly made categories for this video, but oh well. So this is described as a grim and gothic tale about a small town haunted by secrets that can't be buried, and the house that sits at the crossroads of it all. Why do I think I'm gonna love it? The gothic horror. Now, from the back of this, it looks like there is a dream element. It says, I should be scared. There are stories about Starling House, the kind people only tell at night, half whispered under the hum of the porch light. But in the dream, I don't hesitate. In the dream, I'm home. So I really love anything having to do with dreams, as I've mentioned in a previous video when talking about this, as this is another one that's been in quite a few videos and I still have yet to read. But like I said in that previous video, I suffer from chronic nightmares and quite weird, interesting dreams. So anything with a dream element, I am just immediately very intrigued by and find a lot of comfort in, I guess. I love a haunted house. I live next to a cemetery and my house has always been called haunted, so I find like the lore of a haunted house in a small town very interesting, because that's kind of a little bit what I'm dealing with. A romance subplot, and I always enjoy a romance subplot. Well, I guess I shouldn't say I always enjoy, but I usually enjoy a little touch of romance in my stories. And all the ravens on the front, I believe these are ravens. I don't know, some kind of pretty birds, but they are giving me a little bit like Edgar Allan Poe vibes with the gothic horror and the ravens. So maybe there could be some Edgar Allan Poe references in this, which he's like one of my favorite classic writers, so I would really enjoy that as well. So yeah, that is why I think that Starling House could be a 5-star for me. And that brings us to the end of today's video. These are all of my 5-star predictions. I hope that you guys have enjoyed hearing me talk about them, maybe get a little taste for what I like in my books. I'm really kind of all over the place in what I enjoy in my books, as you can tell by my very interesting and diverse array of books I have here. Sorry, I just got a text.